Tell you what's always a good time, replacing much-loved characters. I mean, one needs look no further than the comments on literally every video I'm in to see that when faces change, beds get wet. But, and so help me God, I'll make you all believe this eventually, sometimes it's for the best. Even on something as rich in continuity as Game of Thrones, occasionally a tweak to the stars becomes a necessity. Be it scheduling conflicts, ill health, professional disagreements, whatever, HBO have had to swap quite a few personnel around over the show's 7 seasons, and they've almost always had it work out well for them. Almost. I'm the famously recast Adam from Whatculture.com, and these are 10 Game of Thrones actors who were replaced. Number 10, Callum War II, Tommen Baratheon. You really have to feel for the Baratheon Lannister kids. Not only were they all killed off in wonderful ways, but 2 of them were replaced with pretenders just as their roles were getting good. The first to be shunted out was Callum War II, which I've almost certainly mispronounced, who played Tommen Baratheon when he was little more than background furniture. When it came to him sitting on the throne in Joffrey's wake, it was clearly decided the youngster wasn't up to it, and he was replaced with Dean Charles Chapman, who masterfully captured Tommen's inherent annoyance, as well as being a slightly less creepy marriage option for Marjorie Tyrell. Number 9, Octavia Alexandru, Leaf. When the Children of the Forest's seemingly spiritual leader was introduced in the season 4 finale to meet Bran and Mira as they came to the cave of the Three-Eyed Raven, she made something of a big splash by blowing up Jojen's body before taking the others to meet the Raven himself. If you're wondering why she looks so different, it's because she was played by child model Octavia Alexandru for that brief debut appearance. By the time the character reappeared in season 6 for a much more expanded role, and despite the fact the Children of the Forest aren't actually supposed to age, she was played by older Japanese actor Kei Alexander. Clearly the producers felt that the added drama required a more experienced performer. Number 8, Ed Skrein, Dario Naharis. Ed Skrein's departure from Game of Thrones is easily the most high-profile recasting in the show's history. He initially played Dario Naharis as a long-haired, slightly douchey anti-hero, as cool as he is arrogant and the perfect foil for both Daenerys and Jorah Mormont. At the time of his departure, and after just 3 episodes, it was reported that he dropped out to lead the Transporter, but Skrein himself refuted that. Vaguely hinting that it was much more political than anything else, it sounds an awful lot like he just wasn't asked back. He was replaced by Michelle Huisman, who I've almost certainly also mispronounced, for a far more warm presentation of the character, and one with considerably less edge. Number 7, Struan Roger, the Three-Eyed Raven. When it comes to the opportunity to cast someone as iconic as Max von Sydow, you probably don't look back. Sadly, in the case of Game of Thrones, him being cast meant we lost another version of his character who actually looked a lot better than he did. For his first appearance, the Three-Eyed Raven was played by British actor Struan Roger, who is frankly unrecognisable beneath a long wig and beard. He looked great, but clearly when the Raven was required to act a lot more in Season 6, HBO decided to cast big with Von Sydow and, for whatever reason, decided not to port the beard and hair over with him. Number 6, Jennifer Ehle, Catelyn Stark. Sadly, Jennifer Ehle's performance in Game of Thrones is probably destined never to see the light of day, unless, for example, HBO release it as an extra feature with a complete box set eventually. She was cast as Catelyn Stark for the pilot and was a big fan of George R.R. Martin's books. However, when the pilot was obtained, Ehle passed on the commitment, not wanting a heavy schedule so close to having a child. It was just too soon for her, and the role instead passed to Michelle Fairley, and thankfully so, given how excellent she is during the show. And whoa, why would you? No, we've been through this. You've got to stop using the Red Wedding clips. I can't. No, I'm serious. Stop. No, enough. Number 5, Freddie Stroma, Dickon Tarly. Dickon, yes. Harry Potter fans would have been delighted ahead of Season 6 when Freddie Stroma was cast to play Sam Tarly's younger, preferred brother Dickon, lol, Dickon. He became the latest in a long line of Potter alumni to join the show, a line since joined also by Jim Broadbent, and his previous work definitely served him well to be an unlikable jock. Sadly for him, he couldn't make it back for Season 7 thanks to a scheduling conflict. Cast as he was to play H.G. Wells in the ABC show time after time, a role frankly he would have been mad to pass up. In his place, we got Tom Hopper, who you may recognise from Black Sails, but probably not. Number 4, Conan Stevens and Ian White, The Mountain. The original Gregor Clegane had the right sort of imposing look, even if his armour made him look a little bit like the Tin Man, thanks to veteran stuntman Conan Stevens taking on the role. Sadly, he left the show to work on The Hobbit, a time commitment that stopped any of the cast working on multiple projects at once, before the mountain really got a great deal to do. He was replaced by Ian White, but in truth he was a poor stand-in, lacking the hulking physical presence required for the role. That clearly wasn't a problem for the final evolution of the character though, played by Icelandic strongman Thor Bjornsson, who is as close to a real-life giant as you're ever likely to find. Number 3, Tamzin Merchant, Daenerys Targaryen. Despite how much we all want to see it, there's little chance we'll ever get a glimpse of HBO's original pilot for Game of Thrones, since it was rebooted immediately when it was optioned for a full season run. The pilot was significantly different to the final show, with lots of minor characters replaced and also a couple of pretty predominant ones like Daenerys. The Mother of Dragons was originally played by Tamzin Merchant, who you may recognise from her role in The Tudors. By the time the show was brought to series though, Merchant was out and Emilia Clarke was in. Though no official reason was ever given for her departure, George R.R. Martin has said there were no problems with her performance. Number 2, David Michael Scott, Beric Dondarrion. David Michael Scott was initially hired to play Beric Dondarrion before he was of any real interest to the show's major plotlines. He was probably best considered a stand-in character, only briefly seen on screen before the show really needed to cast somebody more notable. Indeed, Scott was only credited as a featured extra. When Beric became more of a key figure in Arya's story, Scott was replaced by the excellent Richard Dormer, transforming a supporting non-entity into one of the low-key best characters in the entire show. Number 1, Richard Brake, the Night King. Again, there's a pretty big chance you didn't notice it, but the Night King was even replaced as recently as Season 6. He was initially played with haunting majesty, in fact, by Richard Brake, whose facial features and gauntness really suited the otherworldly villain. He was perfect for the hard-home ending sequence when he stood and wordlessly raised his arms to revive the dead while staring Jon Snow down. Unfortunately, he was recast for Season 6 with Vladimir Furdik as he was unable to commit to the new season. The differences are only subtle thanks to the heavy effects work involved in bringing him to screen, but once you notice, it's very clear they're not the same actor. So, that's our list. Let us know who you'd have included because there are loads. And as ever, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There's not even any need to tell me who you'd like to see me replaced with either, as trust me, I already know. Until next time, I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.